Hello, welcome. In today's video, I'll be showing you my 10-piece Studio Ghibli scene studies using gouache and watercolors. I want to share my insights on what I gained during this one-year project and whether or not I can apply it to my future original paintings or artworks. So let's start off with these 3 main points as my main objectives. All my pieces were drawn from specific scenes from each Ghibli movie, primarily focused on the prominent buildings featured in the movie, such as the Kiki's bakery shop and Ponyo's home. You may have noticed my sketches were drawn with color pencils instead of granite pencils, and I used this method that was inspired by Tina from I'm a Wonder. I like to use waxy color pencils as it won't disrupt the gouache pigments when I am painting during the process. Plus, light colors won't be shown as much compared to dark granite pencils. The materials that I'm using to paint are my Canon Studio Gouache set, Lucas gouache tubes, and old watercolors. I like to keep my watercolors from the tubes into a palette, so I'm ready to paint as I go. Instead of going straight into the gouache stage, which can be a bit intimidating, a nice wash of color is a great starting point. This is to figure out the nuances of color, mixing them up and blending them together. It also helps me to get a better understanding later, like which types of browns, blues, and yellows will complement well at certain greenery during the gouache stage. Now looking back, these water paintings ain't that bad themselves. So now going into the gouache stage, which I start off with a nice solid color as a base and breaking out with the light and shadow areas. So I like to take things one step at a time, which to prevent me feeling very intimidated later on during the stage. I won't be talking about all 10 pieces in great detail, otherwise it will be a super long video. If you're keen to learn more about the other scenes, there are 2 other videos that are currently available to watch. For this example, I will be showing you my Castle in the Sky painting scene. Usually this is the longest stage, as layering details means drying and waiting patiently. This painting was probably at its 6th layer by now. If the process is rushed through with wet paint, the pigments will be mixed in all together and lose its intricate details. Funny how I enjoy these small details, as it is my favorite stage during the entire process, as I enjoy seeing how it slowly builds up the world altogether. It is very important not to always paint directly from the tube, as mixing colors on the palette gives some depth and complexity. Otherwise, some elements look very separated from each other and looking rather flat. For example, when you see the clouds in the sky, the first impression you see is that it's just white and blue. But if you look more closely, there are some hints of grays, and in this case reds, to bring in more dimension. Contrast is a very important technique to use, especially for the clouds, to show separation and highlighting certain areas more. Carving it out with the blue or building up brings more of an overall balance. The castle itself is not a complete identical to the reference. However, I replicated to the best of my ability. The castle itself has a prominent blue shadows throughout the entire architecture, so it's very important to blend in that shadows to each of its elements on the castle, such as the tiny buildings and its red rooftops. At the end, it shows that it's not always about being perfect of every single detail, but to create an overall best impression, and giving this piece some final highlights, and then we have one piece done. Did I achieve my objective in this project? I would say about 80%, as I had developed an overall better understanding. However, these types of skills usually take many years to master instead of trying to achieve it within one video. However, I do like to mention that painting all 10 in this series was a little bit too ambitious of me, as I do find myself being very tired, since each piece usually requires the same amount of love and care, which is why it took 1 year to complete, because I need to rest in between each piece. However, I do love the overall end result, especially seeing it as a whole collection. Each piece is a unique piece of itself. The real test we will have to see is if I will apply those learnings to my own creation and ideas in the near future. We will see how it goes. See you next time.